hang on. I think I need to adjust. Okay. Welcome back to my channel, Patronosaurus Reads. I'm Katie, aka Patronosaurus, and I read. Welcome to the first of 4 end of 2019 wrap-up videos, and this is, as you can tell by the title, my most disappointing reads of 2019. So these are books that I had pretty high expectations for that just didn't quite deliver. That doesn't necessarily mean that I hated them, but they were not as good as I wanted them to be, and some of them I really didn't like at all. These are books that I read in 2019, not that they were necessarily released in 2019, though several of them were. So let's just talk about these books. Okay. These are in like descending order from the ones that were disappointing the least to most disappointing. So stay tuned to the end for some tea, because my most disappointing book of the year was several people's favorite book of the year. So yeah. So number 10 was Feast of Sparks by Sierra Simone. This is the sequel to A Lesson in Thorns, also by Sierra Simone, obviously. And it continues following these group of like 6 friends who go back to one of the friends' like fancy lord houses or whatever, like almost a castle, kind of a castle, whatever. And book 1 was surprisingly good. Spoiler alert for the next video where I talk about my most surprising books of 2019. I thought it was interesting. I thought the characters were really well fleshed out and they were also really interesting. And then A Feast of Sparks happened. And I gave it 3 stars, but quite honestly, I think that's very generous. I feel like it's actually 2. And I'm going to spend the rest of the time that I'm talking about this book talking about some like specific plot things and things that happen in the book. So if you don't care to know, then just wait until the book is no longer on the screen, like mute your video or just skip ahead. Because there are some things that I feel like you should definitely know about going into this book. So spoilers from here on out. Okay, so one of the big things that really bothered me about this book is that a lot of it is told in flashbacks, which is like fine. I think it's like to 10-ish years before like the things of the main story, and all the main characters are like in their late 20s, which means that 10 years before that, the 2 characters that they're following are 16. And they specifically talk about like these 2 teenage boys and their boners. And I don't want to read about that. Like, I don't care that in the main storyline, they are both adults. I don't care. I do not care. I don't want to read about teenagers having sex. I don't care. And then, at the very end of the book, there is an incest plotline introduced where one of the characters knew that they were related to one of the other characters, and they continued to have a sexual relationship with them anyway. Now, I'm pretty sure Sierra Simone is going to pull a Cassandra Clare, and it's going to turn out that they really weren't related at all, and it's totally fine. But that's fucking gross. Like, it's gross. It's gross. It's gross. It's gross. It's gross. And I hate it. And like this whole series, I'm sure is just going to keep going downhill. Like Sierra Simone should have stopped with 1 book. Let's move on to my number 9 most disappointing book of the year, which was The Summer of Jordi Perez by Amy Spalding. And this book was just boring. I gave it 2 stars. I can't even like remember what I thought about this book, quite honestly. Like, I mean, you look at the cover and you're like, wow, rainbows and queer girls and fat rep. But it was just boring. Like, it was a lot of drama, like, that I didn't care about. And my big issue, I think, was the way that the mom of the main character talked to her. And there's, like, never any resolution to the mom being, like, really shitty to her daughter all the time. And that really bothered me. Like, have there be some resolution to this. I think that this book would have benefited from being like kind of this mother-daughter story rather than this relationship. Okay, book number 8, that was the most disappointing to me, was Circe by Madeline Miller. I love a good feminist retelling of Greek mythology, especially in this like super unexplored and underutilized character who shows up in the Odyssey for like 5 minutes and then she's gone again forever. So I thought that like the concept was really interesting, but I just don't like Madeline Miller's writing style. I gave this book 3 stars. Quite honestly, like in terms of my personal enjoyment, probably more of a 2-star, but I can see the literary merit in it. So I was like, yeah, okay, 3 stars, whatever. But I just didn't enjoy it. Like I did not like the reading experience at all. My number 7 most disappointing book of the year was Carmilla by Kim Teresi, I think, which is an adaptation of the web series of the same name. The actresses from the show were on the cover of the book. And the web series played a huge part in me realizing I was gay. So I was like really excited that this adaptation existed. I was like, this is probably gonna suck because adaptations of TV shows and movies usually suck. And it did. It was pretty bad, especially because there is a non-binary character who is misgendered like on the page from the author who is adapting this like really inclusive and fantastic and wonderful web series. And I was like, why is this so bad? Like, it was so bad. I thought it was going to be, like, just okay, but it was, like, bad. So, it was very upsetting to me, especially with this being an adaptation of a series that I have, like, a very strong emotional attachment to. And my number 6 most disappointing book was Tell Me How You Really Feel by Amina May Safi, which is another queer girl romance following, it's hate to love, like, enemies to lovers, which means, like, I especially thought I was going to like it. But the reason that they don't like each other, or the reason that the one girl doesn't like the other, is for like a really dumb reason. And I just couldn't get past that the whole rest of the book. And I found that character to be extremely unlikable. She didn't deserve to be with the other girl who was super nice and like really just a wonderful person. And then like the first girl was mean to her all the time. It's just like, why are we doing this? And I do want to address that 3 of the 5 books I've mentioned so far are female romances, because like I didn't dislike them because of that reason. Like I just said, I'm gay, I'm a lesbian, I want good female romances. And I didn't like Carmilla because it was a shitty adaptation of an adaptation. And I think the other 2, it's just like I'm growing out of YA rom-com type books. Like I just don't like that genre regardless of the genders of the love interest and main characters. So if anybody has any female centered stories in different genres that you noticed I like to read that are not like these YA rom-com things, please let me know, because I'm looking for that representation like for myself. Sidebar over, let's continue into my top 5 most disappointing books of the year. So my number 5 most disappointing book was Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I did give this book 4 stars. I still really liked it, but hello. My biggest issue with Aurora Rising is that it follows like 6-7 main characters and they all get perspective chapters, but one character, like I think her total amount of page time from her own point of view is like half a page. And that was very frustrating, and like the pacing was a little weird. I do much prefer the format of the Illuminae files. I thought this like would be really fun if it were like that. I understand why it can't be, because this does not involve an off-the-rails AI. But it was good, but not great. Not as great as I wanted it to be. But I have high expectations and high hopes for this series as it continues. And my number 4 most disappointing book of the year, oh boy, I'm gonna get roasted, was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Hi. I still gave this 4 stars. I still really liked it. It just was not the everything that I expected it to be. Have I heard that Crooked Kingdom is way better? Yes. Am I nervous about reading that book? Yes. But I'm also very excited. So I do still have really high hopes for the series. And again, like 4 stars, I still really like this. It just was not like the be all end all new favorite book of all time that I was hoping it would be. And now, circling back to Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, Obsidio, the third book in the Illuminae Files, which I also gave 4 stars. So again, a book that I really enjoyed but didn't love. I thought this ending was just a little bit messy. And part of that is because in the first 2 books, you get introduced to these 2 couples, so 4 characters, plus all of the various side characters that you grow really attached to and you really like them. And then they also follow that same formula in this book, where we have like this new couple of people who are like, it maybe in love, maybe not, like, will they or won't they, blah, blah, blah. And it's trying to balance them plus the characters that were already introduced. And so the balance between the characters was just off, because you have these characters that we already care about a lot and trying to give this new couple like the same screen time. Page time, I guess, not screen time. It was a fun ending. It just wasn't quite as fun and good as the first 2 books. So, my number 2 most disappointing book of 2019 was In an Absent Dream by Shauna McGuire, which like hurts my soul to say. I think this book put me in a slump. It took me 2 weeks to read 180-ish pages. Oh no, it's like 200. But still, like, this is a very short book. These are novellas. That is the point of this book series. And I just really didn't enjoy it. I thought I would. It is a backstory of one of the characters that we meet in the first book. And I thought I would really like reading about this world. It's supposed to be like a Goblin Market-esque type of fantasy. And it was just, I don't know. I just was not enjoying it a whole lot. I think I gave it 3 stars because like I can still see objectively the writing style is beautiful as per usual. Like, that is not anything new with Shauna McGuire. But the storyline itself is just not my favorite of the series. It was very disappointing that I didn't love this. And now, my most disappointing read of 2019 was Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I was not impressed with the format of the story. I may someday give this another chance on audio because I've heard like that's the way to consume the story, but just reading it, because I mean I have an ARC, so like I couldn't listen to the audiobook because I read this before it came out. I gave it 3 stars. Quite honestly, again, from a personal enjoyment level, it's really more of a 2-star. I didn't care about these vapid people and their selfish, terrible things that they did to one another, and like I just didn't like it, and I didn't care, and it wasn't enjoyable. I really wanted to like it. I love Evelyn Hugo. Like, that's a 5-star book. I really thought that I would love this too. I thought Taylor Jenkins Reid would be the author to turn me on to historical fiction. And I think maybe Evelyn Hugo was just like a fluke with her and with historical fiction for me, because I don't like that genre. I know that some people, it's like their number 1 favorite book of all time, and I'm like, great. I wish that were me. But instead I was really disappointed by this. And I think I mentioned in another video, like, this is a signed ARC. Like, Taylor Jenkins Reid touched this with her hands, and if I liked this book, like, I would be over the moon that I own this, but I kind of just want to pass it along to someone else who does really want it. So yeah, someday when I have enough subscribers to do a giveaway, this will probably be up for grabs. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed to me, and you really want to win this book in a giveaway, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and maybe you'll get it from me. That's it. Those are my most disappointing books of the year. I hope you enjoyed the tea. Let me know what you thought about any of these books, whether you agree with me or disagree. I would love to know your opinions. Leave a comment, like and subscribe. That's what YouTubers say. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.